Hi everyone, this is Nasif KPO, the founder and CEO of Scale Grow. Today's webinar is a pre-recorded session. We chose to do it that way to ensure that internet connectivity issues do not interrupt your learning experience. Unfortunately, we will not be able to have any live interactions, but if you have any questions about the topic of discussion, please leave them in the comment section. We'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. You could also feel free to DM me on LinkedIn if you need better clarity or understanding on anything that we discussed today. That said, let us get started with the webinar right away. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Nasif here. I'm the founder and CEO of Scale Grow. We are a B2B marketing agency that helps companies in the IT, tech, SaaS, robotics, and embedded systems industries grow with marketing. With me today, I have Rakesh. Rakesh is the head of growth marketing at GeekyAnts. He manages everything growth related at the company from content to social design, events, and much more. GeekyAnts, by the way, is a product studio. It's a software development company that focuses on emerging technologies like AI. Rakesh, thanks a lot for joining me today, and I would request you to maybe like give an intro of yourself for the audience to know you better.
Thank you. Thank you, Nasif. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I think you pretty much covered who I am and what I do. I am Rakesh Ningthoujam. I work at Geeky Ants as head of growth marketing. Growth marketing at the moment, what I do is I handle everything related to growth at the company, like from sales numbers to the branding, branding persona, how people perceive us as a brand. So that is something which I'm overseeing at the moment. Geeky Ants, in its essence, is a product studio, like you said, right? We build applications. And we also do a lot of open source. We are also one of the we are also the co-organizers of the largest React Native community in the world. We're very proud of that. But we also have different other multiple tech stacks, right? So we work with a lot of emerging tech stacks, and we're very agile in the adoption of tech stacks. So we are known for that, and it's a very exciting place to be in terms of how can you market so many emerging technologies to B2B companies who are looking for these technologies and keeping up with the pace of the industry. It's
Yeah.
exciting, it's fun, and yeah, that's what I signed up for.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that intro, Rakesh. Let me get right into the topic, and that's what people are here for, right? And the topic is personally very exciting for me because I talk a lot about AI, I talk a lot about content, and the combination of content and AI for me, it's like magical, right? And
Okay.
that is the talk of town when it comes to marketing today, right? So we are going to be talking about enhancing content effectiveness in the AI era. A lot of people are when everyone is talking about the excitement of using AI, there are a lot of practical sides to how you can make the most out of AI when it comes to content, especially in the B2B world. So that's what we'll be talking about today, and I'm really excited to. I really look forward to picking your brains on some of the key areas key areas or questions that are relevant to this particular topic. So let me right away kick off the conversation.
Sounds good.
I think uh, everyone is talking about using AI in marketing, right? I would say if I see 10 content marketing posts on LinkedIn today, maybe 6 or 7 are about using AI in content, right? uh, so first, I wanted to hear your thoughts on how AI is being used in content marketing today, especially from a B2B context. There are a lot of use cases, but let's say if you were to talk about two or three main ones, key ones, which ones would you go with, and why do you think AI is really helping those domains within marketing?
Okay, interesting question. To understand how AI is being used in B2B marketing, right? We first need to actually differentiate B2B marketing from traditional B2C marketing,
Hmm.
because B2B marketing and B2C marketing is a very different ball game.
Right.
And that's where I see a lot of gaps also coming up. That's why I wanted to clear this out before I gave my answer. So B2C marketing is the general, people are exposed to B2C marketing more, right? When an aspiring writer or a content person or a content marketer starts, he or she or they or them is bombarded with like a lot of content, and most of it is B2C marketing because they are the customer, right? They all the ads they see, all the all the products they see are mostly B2C. So the exposure to B2C marketing is very high, and
Right.
but unless and until you go to a B2B company, you do not get that exposure to B2B marketing.
Right.
So, um, so in AI, right, the ideal format of B2C marketing when people use AI for in B2C marketing, it's usually for writing copies, writing blog posts, writing, ideating about stuff, brainstorming, writing briefs, etc. Right? But in B2B marketing, I believe it's a very different ball game, and that's how I use AI. So it's mainly for ideating. You don't do a lot of writing there,
Right.
right? You don't do a lot of content creation in terms of content creation for B2B marketing with AI.
Hmm.
That's where the real quality comes in because you can't, right? I seriously and honestly believe you can't, if
Hmm.
especially content that is going to be consumed by a business leader.
Right.
I'm assuming if you're doing B2B marketing, you're marketing to a business leader, right?
True.
So if you're doing that, and business leaders are very smart, they already have consumed all of this AI content before, and the moment they are looking for opinions, right? And AI cannot give your opinion, right?
Right.
So when it comes to B2B marketing, my first use case of AI would be ideation
Hmm.
and collation of content, and mapping loose ends. For
Right.
example, if you're doing research on certain topics, you can ask the AI or chat gpt, which is the most
Hmm.
generally used AI tool at the moment, that hey, I have these data points, can you tell
Hmm.
me how these correlate? Can you tell me a perspective that that I've thought of these perspectives, can you tell me something more? So that kind of ideation format is something which helps. Now if you're expecting as a B2B marketer, you're going to give the AI topic like, hey, write a blog about this, or write a content topic about this, and you generate it, and you do a little bit of edits, put it out, and that's not gonna work at all, right? If
Right.
we that's the that's very generic. And in B2B marketing, the first thumb rule is generic content does not work.
Right, right. That's a very interesting perspective. I think I would love the audience to take away one key point that you mentioned, and this comes from someone who is doing tech marketing, right? I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
who comes from a tech background.
Yes.
That key point is that generic content doesn't work. Business leaders who are your ideal buyers, they expect opinions, perspectives, and not regurgitated content again and again. Which is created using historical content or content which is already available online, right?
Right.
So one thing related to this that I wanted to talk about is that I see increasingly this tendency among B2B marketers to use AI just because it's cool, right? Everyone is talking about AI. It sounds very cool. It's a new baby in the tech world, and everyone wants to use it, and marketers also want to use it because it sounds very cool. But what I always tell, my customers, when they talk about using AI, especially at scale growth, is that use AI only if it makes business sense, right? If you think it is best to use it for, like you said, generating ideas, summarizing content, for example, use it only for that. If your objective is to become like a thought leader and share your own opinions,
Mm.
use AI as an aid and not as a creator, right? So I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that point to what you mentioned.
Hmm.
uh,
I would also like to add that the importance of opinion has become very underrated at the moment, right? It's people feel like posting or sharing opinion just for the sake of sharing it. Like, I have this, put it on chat gpt, summarize it. That's okay. If you've already written something and you don't have time to sit down, edit it, and put out it in like more polished format, it's fine, right?
Absolutely.
If you don't have time to do that and you have an opinion to share, if you are giving a proper write up or a voice note transcript to chat gpt and saying like, hey, just polish it for me, that's okay, right? But having that purely AI generated content go out and post it on your LinkedIn profile, which a lot of people do at the moment, or or a blog post just for the sake of increasing the number of posts, that's not going to cut it.
Very true.
Yeah.
And I'm completely with you on that. So now that we kind of have set the foundation of using AI in content marketing, uh, I want to talk about. So today the topic of today's discussion is content effectiveness in the AI era, right? Now different people have different definitions of what actually content effectiveness is. So before really getting into how you can enhance content effectiveness using AI or with the help of AI, I wanted to set the foundation right on what exactly is content effectiveness. Like, what do we mean by content effectiveness? Rather, if I may put it this way, what metrics and KPIs you think B2B marketers should measure to assess content effectiveness?
Right. It's a very gray area, to be honest, when you say this, because content effectiveness is very multifaceted, right? There's a
Hmm.
lot of dimensions to it, and I cannot pin it in one sense, saying that if you measure A, B, C, D metrics, for example, if you measure impressions, if you measure CT, click through rates, or if you measure engagement rates, then I you can sense your content is effective, correct?
Hmm.
In B2B marketing, that's a very, it's not a very nuanced approach.
Hmm.
It's a very, on a surface level, it's just nice for it. That's why I say, right, the bias of doing or being exposed to B2C marketing, because in B2C marketing, engagement means a lot, impressions mean a lot, right? All of those metrics mean a lot, but in B2B marketing, you can have like a brand that has 23% rate engagement, and or like your impressions go to 20,000 or 50,000 every post, but you have zero leads or zero sales. I've
Right.
seen cases like that happen. So if your content, if the amount of content you're producing does not reflect on, at the end of the day, in the lead funnel that you're creating,
Hmm.
that does not mean a thing. So at the
Right.
end of the day, the only, if you're going to be obsessed with one single metric, be
Hmm.
very obsessed with how many people are visiting your landing page on your website
Hmm.
and staying there.
Right.
So retention rate of people on
Hmm.
your website, that's very, very important if you're going to look at one single metric. And if you have a form, then how many people are filling the form and dropping off?
Right.
And that is again ties back to another metric, which is your qualified leads,
Hmm.
right? So I think I summarized three metrics. First is the number of leads that you're getting through your website, number of people who are filling up your form, your drop off rates, and then people who are visiting your website. So these four metrics should be the cornerstone, and then
Hmm.
every other metric can be like supporting metrics. For example, if
Hmm.
I'm getting 50K impressions on my LinkedIn post, then a percentage of it should go to the website if I'm putting a link to my website, or
Right.
a profile from my social media. So you need to have the tracking very, very um, well established, well structured. That's where I feel B2B marketing is very nuanced, because if
Hmm.
you don't have the right metrics set, you'll be happy in your monthly presentation that, hey, I got 50K impressions, my social profile grew by 20%, or my organic traffic has grown by 50%. But if it's not amounting to leads, and those four metrics are not very do not match, right? It's at the end of the day, it's not translating to business, it's not working out. So at the end of the
So,
day, again, it's business, right? So you are chasing that profit margin. So if your number of leads, your form fills, your drop off rates are not improving over time, and your visitors to the landing page of your website is not improving over time, then those are the four metrics you need to anchor, break them down into what can support them, and then go through it. So that's how you measure the effectiveness of your content, basically. Now, if you want to do like drill down a little bit more, I suggest always looking at exit rates,
Hmm.
which is I think a little bit more ignored, because a lot of people look at the visitors of a page and
Hmm.
just see that, oh, my visitors are growing, but
Hmm.
how much are you retaining? Because you're putting out opinion pieces, more or less, right? In terms of content, you put a
Right.
if it's a LinkedIn post, you're putting out opinion pieces. If it's a carousel, you want people to be swiping, right?
Hmm.
And if it's a blog on your website, then you want people to read. It should not be that people just skim through it, they stay for 10 seconds and leave out. This is not relevant to me. If you're
Right.
not able to retain them for at least 30 seconds, you're putting out bad content.
True.
It's clear as that. Like, you need retention in B2B world.
Understood. Yeah, I think it's the right way to look at it, because you said end of the day, whether marketing aligns with the business goals,
Yeah.
that's what matters the most. Which is where, like you said, the qualified leads, the number of qualified leads comes in as a key metric.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, if you can further drill down, maybe you can look at particular channels, individual channels. Like for example, when it comes to SEO, you can look at metrics like how many website visitors are you getting,
Hmm.
how many keywords are you ranking for, with your off-page SEO efforts, is your domain rating improving over time?
Yes.
Now when it comes to YouTube, how many subscribers are you earning on a weekly basis, how many views are you generating, right? So things like these. And if you go to these individual channels, there are you can further drill down and look at specific metrics. Like if we take YouTube as an example, you can look at click-through rate, you can look at the number of impressions your videos gets, and there are a lot more metrics. So I think that's the right way of looking at it. First,
Yeah.
look at how your marketing efforts or content marketing efforts are contributing to the overall improvement of business goals, and then you look at the leading indicators and see if they are actually improving to support this set of growth goals.
Yeah. So what I also notice is that a lot of people become obsessed with micro level data. So in these monthly reviews and calls, you have these presentations with like rows and rows of data points. Okay, I've learned this very recently, by the way. I am guilty of doing this myself. I've been guilty of doing this myself. I've made these mistakes, right? I've made these mistakes myself. But what I have realized is that looking at these rows and rows of data points at the end of the day does not matter if those are not contributing to business,
Hmm.
right? So what I have found that works better is having those anchors at the top, those 4 or 5 metrics that contribute to business, and then drilling down and just focusing on those micrometrics in separate calls. But
Hmm.
if you're talking business, then those metrics should be the anchor, and you need to speak on how to improve them, rather than going into details on each and every number. So the big picture
Very
is
true.
important at the end of the day. Yeah.
Very true. So now I want to get to the very core of the topic, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Whether we like it or not, AI is here to stay, right? A lot of experts compare it to the computer revolution that happened in the late 1900s. A lot of people did not like computers because they thought it's gonna kill jobs, so they revolted. But end of the day, we all adopted it, right? So AI is that probably the necessary evil that we all have to adopt and make a key part of our life. And so, given this scenario, what do you think are some of the ways B2B marketers can ensure that they achieve their content goals while still using AI? Right? To be very specific, uh, how can some of the KPIs that we discussed earlier
Hmm.
be achieved with the help of AI or using AI? What are your thoughts on this?
Right. So my team uses a lot of AI.
Hmm.
As we are a tech company, right? And 95% of the people in my company are engineers, more or less.
Yeah.
In my team as well, people who in my team is a good mix of engineering people and non-engineering people. Engineering
Mm.
people who chose marketing, and non-engineering people who also chose marketing. So there's a good mix and a good balance of opinions and thought processes there. So what I've noticed is that over time, when ChatGPT first entered, the new kid and down, with its shining features and everything. So it was very interesting because we, as adopters of, it's our habit to adopt new technologies. So we adopted ChatGPT very early, and our founders also pushed for the adoption of ChatGPT and AI very early. Our company started R&D on GeekyAnts, started R&D on AI very very early. So for
Mm.
us, it became like a habit to adopt
Mm.
AI and heavily integrate in our work processes.
Mm.
For example, creation of uh, project briefs, right? A project brief for us took, you sat down, you wrote the objective, you wrote the messaging, you wrote the target audience, etc., etc., right? But that, again, more or less, with the right prompt, you can more or less get it. You don't have to sit
Mm.
down and spend more time to it, right? So efficiency, like that. So most of the repetitive tasks, the recurring tasks, right, if you automate it through the AI and you spend more time on thinking, then that is where the real content effectiveness comes.
Mm.
So I have always believed that machines, A- or technology like AI, is there to take away the recurring, repetitive, the
Yeah.
monotonous part of your activity and leave the human brain more space for creative things,
Right.
which has happened, right? So my team actually, uses AI very frequently in terms of to offload their bandwidth, their monotonous or recurring bandwidth to AI,
Mm.
while having more time to do creative things. So
Right.
that itself brings into more content effectiveness, more time to think, more time to deliver opinions,
Mm.
because opinions is what matters. And
Right.
that is where the first use case is. The second use case is a lot like more tools to, if you are getting calls, then you can have like an AI, chat assistant answer it, right?
Right.
Pre-qualification of leads, for example, Ant Engage, something which GeekyAnts has partnered in developing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Antengage.com, something with GeekyAnts has partnered in developing. So those kind of things, AI voice assistant to answer things, creation of new ideas, like I said, like ideation of things. So that effectiveness of content, right? So I recently wrote a LinkedIn post or a blog post. It's slipping my mind, but
Mm.
I said AI is not the new kid in town anymore. It's got a permanent table at the, at the business table, permanent seat at the business table. So at that moment, you have to acknowledge its presence.
Mm.
And if you're looking for content effectiveness, you need to think how much of the recurring, repeating tasks can I offload to AI, how much can I
Mm.
automate,
Mm.
and with that bandwidth safe, how much time can I spend more in thinking, in giving business values. I just returned from this conference, GitX 2024,
Yeah.
in Dubai. So from my discussions with business leaders, right, everyone is offloading their repetitive tasks to AI.
Yeah.
Now that's a risk there. If your task does not involve creative thinking, if your task can be replaced by AI in its entirety, you're in big
Mm.
trouble,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? That's what happened to a lot of people in the dot com era, right? A lot of tasks which could be replaced entirely by a machine, uh, they lost their jobs. Now, if you want to stay competitive, if you want to survive the AI age, which I tell a lot of my juniors as well as a lot of people I talk to, um, you need to have an X factor in you. That's much more important at the moment. Your business needs to have an X factor. You have to have an X factor that that the AI does not have, and that in in its essence is creative thinking and your personal opinion and thoughts. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, like you said, the very gist of it is that if you are able to use AI to get your task done faster,
yeah.
more effectively, more productively, while still ensuring that you're able to apply your creativity,
Hmm.
that's the way to go about it. And I also look at it from a point of view of scalability.
Right.
It's associated with, or it's related to the point that you mentioned. How can you scale different content activities with the help of AI, right? It can
Right.
be using AI tools like Phrase, for example, to help you create SEO optimized articles, right? Like you said, we still have to add that human touch to it by adding opinions and making the final edits, but
Hmm.
it can help you have like a great start. Or how can you scale a video production using a tool like Synthesia or Hagen, for example?
Correct. Correct.
There are tools like Automata that can automate content repurposing using AI. So there are plenty of examples of tools, but I also look at it from a scalability standpoint. And here at Scale Grow, we actually use AI for a lot of this. Like, for example, we use a tool called Veed.io for repurposing content, for
Mm.
adding subtitles to videos. So I can think of a lot of examples, but essentially, I think two things. One is getting your task done faster, and scaling your content marketing efforts so that you can achieve more in
Mm.
less amount of time.
Less resources as well, because
Exactly.
when you have when I before the AI age, what was needed from 5 or 6 people, you can have 3 people do it
Hmm.
at the moment, right? So you're reducing your resource expense also, and that
True.
is good, because if we can have the other 3 people do more creative stuff, free them up. I believe the outlook should be ki AI is taking care of the boring stuff while I have time to do more creative and fun stuff. So that should
Absolutely.
always be the outlook in this age.
Absolutely. So we you also spoke about opinions, the importance of having
Hmm.
opinions and perspectives in your content, right? That's
Yeah.
what business leaders look forward to. So what are some of the best practices marketers can adopt to make sure that their content reflects this, you know, uh, subject matter expertise, thought leadership, opinion, perspective, whatever you call it? What do you think are some of the best practices and tips for
Okay.
marketers here?
So some of the best one, the single best practice that if the other two that I'm going to say, if you're not going to follow them, right? But the first one, which I'm going to say right now, you must follow it, right? Unless and until you do this, your content is just going to go unnoticed, right?
Hmm.
And that is deep research. You
Hmm.
can't fake expertise.
Right.
You can never fake expertise.
Yeah.
That's what I genuinely believe, and from my 5+ years of experience in especially marketing tech content, um, I can 100% stand by my statement that you cannot fake expertise. So you need to have that deep domain level expertise if you're going to have your opinions valued.
Hmm.
How do you do that? You read a lot. That's the bottom line. It's
Hmm.
your content consumption, right? This short form content consumption of shorts or reels, it's fine, it's nice to doom scroll, but it gives your mind off things, it relaxes you, or it gives you the dopamine kick. But if you're serious and if you want to do business, you need to read, you need to consume longer form of content like this podcast. I don't know how many people will how many people at the moment listen to hour long podcasts anymore, or 1.5 hour long lectures. That that endurance is not there anymore,
Absolutely.
right? So if you're going to become, if your opinions need to be valued, or if you want your opinions to be valued, you need to read a lot about the subject matter.
Hmm.
You need to read different opposing opinions. That's very important.
Hmm.
Opposing opinions. So if you're talking about that, say hi, AI is the future, right? If you're reading content saying that AI is the future only, then your opinion is biased.
Right.
You need to read people that say AI is the doom of humankind, Also, so if you don't read those two opinions, and if you, after reading those two opinions, and if you don't form a singular opinion that's only yours, um, you can't, call yourself either an expert or at least an expert observer of things, right? So your opinion is not balanced, or your opinion is not whole. So you need to have that, habit of reading longer pieces of content, longer pieces of blogs. You need to read a lot of publications, well edited publications, okay, not the online not online articles that have been chat gpt generated. Well edited publications from magazines, from reputed channels. You need to read that. So if you don't read a lot of domain related stuff, then your opinion is going to be very undervalued. It's going to be very normal. It's not going to stand out.
Right.
So that's the
And
first.
that's a very interesting point, I would say. Like you said, in an era where attention spans are going down, and like you said, we all turn towards shorts and reels
Yeah.
nowadays. The value of, going back to things like webinars, like this one, like you said,
Mm.
podcasts, books, right?
Books,
Those
yeah.
resources, it's underrated, I believe, right? And one thing I would like to add here is that all this, are great sources of knowledge. Like, we all listen to podcasts, we all take perspectives from experts out there, whether it is about using AI in marketing, whether it's on content or anything in general, right? Like, for example, leadership is a common topic that we all
Mhm.
try to learn about, right? So
Yeah.
personally, I follow Simon Sinek, who is one of the thought leaders in that space. So whether it's marketing or any other domain, these are great sources of knowledge. And to become a thought leader, to showcase expertise, I would want to go back to the same point that you mentioned earlier: the value of your own opinions, right? The value of
Yeah.
your own perspectives. Okay, you've learned this, but how do you add your perspective to a topic that has already been discussed? And I think that's
Hmm.
exactly what we are also trying to do through this webinar, right?
Right, right.
You know,
Your opinion is yours, right? And
yeah,
if that's unique, right? No one has. If you have the same opinion as other people, it's that's going to be an issue, because your opinion needs to be unique. That's how you differentiate. Then how, if your opinion is not unique, how different are you from the AI tools,
absolutely.
right? So you're being replicated at the end of the day if your opinions, if your thoughts are not unique. So
Yeah,
that uniqueness needs, you need to chase uniqueness, valid uniqueness, not uniqueness for the sake of uniqueness, right? Valid
absolutely.
uniqueness, yeah.
Okay, now let's get into one of my favorite
Okay.
topics in the entire marketing landscape, which is tools. And since the topic of discussion today is AI, I want to focus more on AI tools used for content marketing, especially. So now we understand that integrating AI into content marketing is essential, right? Whether it is about achieving speed, faster results, scalability, it's absolutely essential. So, keeping this in mind, what are some of your favorites when it comes to AI tools with respect to content marketing?
Right. At the moment I stick to the basics, at the basics and the trusted ones. So Notion AI is great.
Hmm.
Notion AI is very good because it has a database of data, right? And for AI, you need people that have tools that build from databases, that have good databases.
Hmm.
So ChatGPT 4.0 is good. Gemini is surprisingly getting better.
Hmm.
It was not great when it started, but so I'll tell you how I use Gemini and ChatGPT. I
Hmm.
use Gemini for fact finding, and I use
Hmm.
ChatGPT to summarize the facts that Gemini found.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah, so Gemini is our encyclopedia. ChatGPT is the opinion giver, right?
Yeah.
My debater when I want to say something, right? Hey, I feel about this. What do you think, right? So ChatGPT is that person because it's much more fluent in the kind of language it understands.
Hmm.
It's much more articulate in the way it produces information. It shares information. So Gemini, Grammarly is also good. Hemingway Editors AI counterpart is also great.
Hmm.
Claude is good, but the reason why I'm saying all of this is because as a person who started out with writing content and who reviews a lot of AI generated content, um, all of these are the tools I interact with on a daily basis, right?
Hmm.
Slack is great at the moment. I think they're bringing in more AI updates. Canva AI is fantastic.
Yeah.
Canva's AI
I'm one of
tools,
the active users of Canva.
yeah,
Canva, yeah.
Canva's new update, while the UI is very, very bad at the moment, the UI UX is it's bad. I don't know why they changed it. Canva UI and the current UI UX update, the screen update, it's not great. It's very hard to find things, but the new AI updates are fantastic. Figma's AI updates are great at the moment. All right, Figma is becoming um, the bridge between traditional designers and people who want to bridge design and development. So
Hmm.
Figma's AI tools are very nice. And apart from that, my team uses a lot of different plugins, a lot of different AI plugins in their day-to-day activities for SEO, for video production. Like I said, we use Synthesia for a lot of
Hmm.
AI avatars production. We use Synthesia for captions. We use Descript
Hmm.
for transcription of activities, right? Transcription active transcribing them, then making repurposing content. So those AI tools are nice. Um, but the reason why I'm sticking to these AI tools is because I want dependability from
Hmm.
AI tools at the moment. Now I experiment with like multiple AI tools, but they don't get integrated into the workforce
Hmm.
very soon, right?
Right.
They don't get integrated into my day-to-day activities. I tend to stick to these which are tried and tested,
Hmm.
because it's nice, but it's also, it's very risky to
Hmm.
adopt everything and break the process, right? It's very risky as well. So if I'm going to adopt a new AI tool, I will battle test it very, very rigorously to check if it can fit into my process, if it's actually going to implement the process, right?
Hmm.
Augment the process. That's where I believe, that's why I've not adopted a lot of different tools, but it's the ones that I just said, which are industry standard, are used very rigorously, right? Now we have small POCs that work like, hey, I'm going to try out this tool for
Hmm.
this particular use case, right? And my team has done a lot of those, right? They've tried multiple different AI tools to in their activities, but they have not made it to the process at the moment.
Hmm.
The reason why is they have some fallbacks,
Hmm.
right? So that is the case, and at the end of the day, what I want is like AI. So that's also a tip for marketers, B2B marketers.
Hmm.
If you're going to adopt, don't adopt tools just for the sake of adopting tools, right?
Right.
No one's giving you a medal for using 32 AI tools.
Yeah.
Right? The final goal is to get leads,
Right.
not be the person who uses 100 AI tools, and that does not make you a trendy person, a trendy marketer, right?
Right.
That's not a brag. If you can achieve more with less AI tools, but still increase the effectiveness and the overall frugality of your team,
Hmm.
then you're good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's all about what you can really achieve with the tools. So, for example, here at Scale Grow, we use a few AI tools. Chat GPT, definitely, we use that a lot. Whether it's for ideation, summarizing research, we use that a lot. We've lately started using Perplexity, and in one of the newsletters of my community for B2B marketers, I also did an experiment by comparing Chat GPT, Perplexity, and Gemini for writing a blog post. We also do a lot of these experiments here at Scale Grow, and personally, the tools that we have used or the tools we have used here at Scale Grow or for our clients, one is 11 Labs, which is a text
Hmm.
to voice converter. So the quality has been good. We also have tried Speechelo. It's decent. Then for voice to text, for adding subtitles, for repurposing of webinar content, for that we have used Veed, Veed.io. I like that tool for the simplicity of the UI.
Yeah.
Descript is also something I have explored. So these are some of the tools that we are using on a day-to-day basis. But the example that you mentioned, Synthesia, right? So that's like one of the most popular AI video generators in the market today. There are other tools like Agent,
It's
Rephrase, and
gotten
all.
smarter as well. Synthesia has gotten smarter as well. One tool I forgot to mention and just crossed my mind is Miro's new AI update.
Hmm.
So remember, you had to create cards in Miro.
Hmm.
So I met the Miro team at GitX, right, or
Ah.
GITEX 2024. I met the Miro team there, and they had just dropped an update 1 day or 2 days ahead of the conference,
Hmm.
and that update blew my mind because you have those cards, right? You have those cards. You can just have Miro now click on the card and make a document of your workflow to
Hmm.
share it with your team, or you can give a prompt that, hey, I have these easy stocks, make it a workflow or a Miro diagram for me.
Right.
So project planning, so things like that, it's not taking away your job, it's actually making your job easier, right?
Easier. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that update just blew my mind, and I feel like that's why having a lot of use cases for the tools made built from a lot of use cases work
Hmm.
better because they solve real problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the tools which understand that really will make it big. And I
Hmm.
got the opportunity to actually look at Synthesia even before they had SaaSified the
Okay.
platform. So this was probably back in 2022. And that was the time when these video generators were not even in the market. I mean, the agents and the rephrases of the world were not even there. So it was just Synthesia, I think, probably back then. So I found it to be a cool tool, and they keep improving as well. So
Yeah.
adding cool features, new features that are really useful for the target audience is also important. Okay, so I want to end this with one last question, right?
Hmm.
Uh, which I think will summarize whatever we discussed today, will help the audience to take away with an opinion, with a perspective about how we look at AI, how you look at AI, especially given that you come from a tech company, you do tech
Mm.
marketing for a living, right?
Yeah.
Which is, do you think the adoption of AI in content marketing, in marketing, is going to increase, or are you more inclined towards the other side where you think it will just create a lot of content, repetitive content, which lacks depth and industry expertise?
Um, okay, so I believe AI, the journey of AI is going to kind of become like the journey of the flat screen smartphone, right?
Hmm.
Um, like this is my smartphone, correct? So uh, y- a lot of innovation is happening inside of it,
Hmm.
but you cannot notice it right there, right?
Yeah.
From the moment when Steve Jobs, gave that in now legendary presentation where he
That
removed the buttons.
merge.
Yeah, he removed the buttons. He made that, hey, I want to do this, make it a music player, make it a call, make it a phone. So the moment from that point onwards, you got that tick, right? That upward tick of innovation. You got folds, you got different kind of things coming into the picture, right? So I believe that I think that era is going to come.
Hmm.
So when that era comes in, there is going to be this increased adoption. But also, I believe that the tools which I just mentioned, right, generative AI tools, which I just mentioned, they are going to continue dominating because they have like a lot more advantage because of the
Hmm.
sheer number of data that they have,
Hmm.
because it's all about data, the number of data points that you can train an AI model on, right? um, so I think they have a lot of different advantage. The different companies that I just mentioned, they have a lot of advantage there. New people, new tools might come up, new ideas might come up, but I'm hoping that they come up. So that's a hope that I have, like disruption happens, because when
Right.
disruption happens, you grow. But I'm also fearful of the fact that the AI, the mountain of pile of dump that gets generated from non-thought topics that just you just put on Chat GPT, you push it out just for the sake of pushing it out, is also going to increase.
Hmm.
But I that is a bubble, right? In
Hmm.
my discussions, that is a bubble, it's going to burst, and people are going to start calling out fake content or AI generated content. They're going to
mm,
disregard them. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen, based on my observation, is that people are going to stop engaging with those kind of content which are basically AI generated, or which don't have a lot of thought put into it, which don't have deep research, or
mm.
opinions that have been generated out of deep reading. Those are going to be disregarded and ignored, and they're going to fade away,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's for marketers and it's for the users of AI to actually decide how they're going to use it. I mean,
Right.
the actual output, like you said, right? It's important to make sure that it's not that dump which is no more useful to people.
Yeah, it's you don't need to become like so you need to stand out in the crowd. That's what marketing is. Like, if you drill down marketing to its fundamental, it's being the unique person, right? So if you have a row of five vegetable sellers, I was giving this example to one of my teammates the other day, right? The difference between B2B marketing and B2C marketing. B2B marketing is, you have 10 sellers of apple,
Hmm.
right? It does not matter which, for the consumer, it does not matter from who I buy it. If it's the
Hmm.
same price, same quality, I can buy from A, B, C, or D. Does not matter, right? My end goal is getting an apple,
Hmm.
correct? But in B2, so the only thing which I can play around there is, I need to either convince you that I can give you the apple in lesser cost, or I
Hmm.
can give you the apple in better quality,
Hmm.
or more benefits, right? If you buy from me, that's the condition. So, but the consumer has already thought of the idea that, hey, I would like to buy an apple,
Hmm.
right? B2B, it's very different. I am coming to you, and I get the result immediately in B2C, right? But in B2B, it's like saying, I want a mountain guide.
Hmm.
So you have 10 mountain guides.
Hmm.
You need to pitch me that I don't know the troughs and the ditches that
Hmm.
the dangers I'm going to encounter in the mountain,
Hmm.
right? You need to convince me that you know about it, that
Right.
you understand the mountain better than all the other nine people that you're competing with, right? So you need to convince the person who is approaching you that you are the guide that can help them navigate all of these dangers flawlessly,
Hmm.
right? You need to tell them that I have experience. These are my customers who have already crossed the mountain with me. I have helped them navigate these challenges, and your pitch has to be better than the other nine.
Right.
So either you have a lot of experience, either you have the tools that can help them make the journey easy, right? Or either you have a very nice personalities. That also that also factors in, by the way, when you're
Yeah.
doing a B2B sale, right? So, but it's a service, and the person is choosing you with, because of a perceived idea that gets formed in their head, that this is the person that's going to lead me to success, or lead me to the top of the mountain unscathed,
Hmm.
right? So it's very different. So the differentiation there in B2C and B2B, right? If you're not unique, if you don't stand out, if your value proposition is does not match or is better than the other nine, you're just going to fade away. So don't be the other nine that fade away. Be that one single one person that is unique.
Yeah, I mean, again, it ties back to the point that you mentioned in the beginning. How do you share, your own perspective,
Perspective, yeah.
your own opinions? And
Right.
one thing, I just wanted to mention here is that, marketers also need to look into the ethical and, compliance side of things. Like, for
Mm.
example, if we go back to Synthesia as an AI tool, so now Synthesia or Agent, whichever AI video generator you're using, you can now create custom avatars of yourself. You can upload a video of
Yeah.
you talking for 5 minutes, and Synthesizer can generate the custom avatar, and you can regenerate videos using the same avatar.
Mm.
Now, what actually happens when, let's say, for example, you do that for an employee, and the employee leaves the company? Do you still have the right to continue using that avatar even after
Mm.
the employee leaving? So, how do you factor that into your, let's say, employee agreement or company's code of conduct? wherever it has to be added, right?
Right, right,
So there
right.
are these compliance as well as ethical considerations or factual considerations. Like you said, you mentioned that you use Gemini for
Hmm.
your facts and ChatGPT for opinions.
Yeah.
So how do you? It's a problem that Google has been trying to solve for ages. How do you make sure that the data is accurate and all that?
Yeah,
So
because Gemini can also take information from Wikipedia, right? And Wikipedia at the end of the day is like, written by users. Now, you cite sources, that's another thing.
hmm,
But sometimes I have to double check every data I get from Gemini, because again, the trust is not there, right?
right.
Now, if I was reading a peer review article or a peer review journal, I will not fact check any of the information that they've given me, because
Yeah.
I know that this has been researched. They have given the sources at the end of the article or journal. But again, what you said is very correct. Ethics is very important when it comes to the use of AI, because um, it's unexplored waters. It's
True.
unexplored waters, right? You don't know what safeguards to set. If you're going to protect yourself from something, what is that something has is also not defined now,
Right.
right? So you don't know what you're protecting yourself from. The use cases are very limited. We all of us are talking about AI a lot, but it's also
Hmm.
because of the age of social media, right? Something very small can go viral in minutes.
Yeah.
It's just because of that. Now, imagine this happened in an era where social media was not there, or this entire viral trend was not there, right? It would just be a news article that gets published in a newspaper in San Francisco, maybe, right?
Yeah.
That may be the case. The adoption will be slow. The reason why we're talking about this is because of the wonderful age we live in, where information is free for everyone, more or less, right? So, but that also brings in the factor that I don't know what I'm protecting myself from. If I am using a particular tool, I'm not aware of what are the compliances I need to set, or if I
Hmm.
am creating my own AI tool for my workflow,
Hmm.
it's very difficult to manage or predict all of those things. We try our best. We do try our best
Hmm.
to predict them. We do try our level best to do that, but there will be cracks at the end of the day. And that's where collaboration between different companies who have already done the research, who have already doing who have use cases. For example, my use cases, you give me your use case, we collaborate with somebody else who has a use case.
Hmm.
We have a forum where we discuss the use cases and then set out rules. So that is going to be very important on how different companies collaborate with their use cases to set those compliance standards. But again,
Absolutely.
who sets it? That's the big question.
Yeah,
Who
I think
sets it?
we have to find out in the
Future,
coming
yeah.
years. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Rakesh. I mean, it has been a very insightful discussion. I think the most important thing was that we added a lot of new perspectives. You shared your opinions from your own
Right.
experience, and your experience in tech marketing especially has been very helpful. So thanks a lot, Rakesh, for joining me today. It's an honor, and I hope the audience finds a lot of value from the content.
Mhm.
And to all of you who are listening, we'll see you soon with more content.